Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we are taking a cheeky look at Polkadot, and specifically, is DOT really going to go to $700? So Chris, we've come across a bit of a price prediction, not our own, and we will get into our own charts afterwards, but a price prediction from FD7. And ultimately, the managing partner there is predicting that DOT can get to $700 within the next 3 years. And we're going to get into that and see exactly what's going on there and why he thinks the Polkadot and DOT token could get to $700 within 3 years. So if you find this video useful and informative, do hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and not yet subscribed, do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you're going to get, or be kept up to date with all of the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with that said and done, Chris, is there anything you'd like to add, or should we just jump straight over to the desktop and take a look at what's going on here with Polkadot?
Before we do, Nick, if you love Polkadot, let us know why in the comments below. Be really interested to see what it is that you love about Polkadot.
Fantastic. Let's jump on over and take a look at this. Right, so FD7 predicts that Cardano price at $20 and the Polkadot price at $700 in 3 years. So this is really interesting. So this kind of comes on the back of FD7 Ventures announcing that they were going to sell $750 million worth of Bitcoin and basically exchange that for Cardano and Polkadot. And in a new press release, the Dubai-based financial giant predicts that the price of Cardano and Polkadot could rise massively, by 20 times in fact, over the next 3 years. And that's definitely something that we can see as something that's possible, right, Chris? Yeah,
for sure, Nick. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. So let's kind of get into this a little bit, because it's incredibly interesting. But basically, Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum paved the way to mass adoption, right? And if the prediction comes true, it would mean that a price of $20 for Cardano and $700 for Polkadot. And according to 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, Chad, managing partner at FD7, this development is primarily due to the sharp increase in institutional investors and their interest specifically in both towards forward-looking platforms, and the importance that ADA and DOT to their respective ecosystems. And ultimately this whole thing is quite crucial to understanding what ADA is about and what DOT's about and what they're trying to achieve. And obviously Polkadot and Cardano, I guess you could assume that they are somewhat competitors. They both do fantastic things in the space. DOT's maybe slightly further ahead of the game currently with everything that they're actually doing physically in the real world right now. And Cardano might be lagging behind. I think, however, the tables will eventually turn. Cardano, once they've actually launched their next projects, I think they're going to do very, very well once the Goguen era actually gets issued out there and it's in smart contracts and all that functionality. I think then they'll potentially have an edge on Polkadot, Chris. But for now, Polkadot's in a pretty good position. This particular bull run, I think Polkadot's going to do incredibly well. So what's going on here is Chad kind of elaborates a little bit here on Cardano, Polkadot, and Ethereum, and how he thinks it's going to, those three particular platforms will revolutionize various different industries, right? And so he has a quote here, and he says, in my opinion, these three projects are going to start disrupting industries across the board, from healthcare to real estate to financial. And we totally align to that, don't we, Chris?
We do, yeah, completely.
Because ultimately we've seen lots of fantastic things happening in the healthcare sector. We see that quite a lot with a few really high-profile projects as well, such as SingularityNet, right? We can see that with VeChain and a lot of stuff that they're doing, but we also see that with the future with Cardano and Polkadot as well. So definitely you can tick that one straight off the box. And real estate's making some headway as well. We see lots of stuff going on with real estate on the Stellar network, and there's no way in my mind that we can't see that also happen for both Cardano and Polkadot. So absolutely tick off real estate as well as the financial, which is obviously the whole decentralized finance space, which both Cardano and Polkadot are looking to do. So Polkadot is definitely very well positioned to tick off most of these industries that Chad is talking about here. I definitely align to that thought anyway, Chris.
Yeah, no, definitely, and myself. Completely.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. So, the analyst does further state that especially big tech companies like Tesla will invest some of their cash reserves in promising projects like Ethereum, Polkadot, and Cardano. And Tesla had recently announced, an investment of $1.5 billion into Bitcoin, and has accepted or will accept Bitcoin and BTC as a form of payment. Not that I would ever want to be using Bitcoin as a form of payment, Chris, because I think it costs far too much to do so, and it really just wouldn't make a good sense to basically use your Bitcoin as a payment method. Ultimately, I guess some of these institutions, they're willing to accept Bitcoin, but you shouldn't be willing to use your Bitcoin. At least that's my opinion on it, Chris. But anyway, in his opinion, these three projects will pave the way for mass adoption. So I am getting calls from institutional investors who weren't even aware of Cardano and its ADA token, but are essentially expressing interest. All this is happening as institutions are catching up to what Bitcoin is over a decade after it was created. So think about this. Bitcoin was created in 2009 and took it this long for real institutional money to pour in. We even have Bitcoin ETFs now. So yeah, absolutely right on that. And I think the same thing applies to Polkadot, right? There's a lot of interest in both Polkadot, Cardano, and there's a lot of these other projects from these institutional investors now. And Bitcoin has grown significantly over the years, and the growing confidence over the last few years as well has definitely helped. And the new project's taken much less time than 10 years. And basically this is Chad's opinion here, that now Bitcoin has kind of been a bit of a guinea pig. It's kind of shown how things can work. It will not take that much longer, maybe half the time, even less, for other projects, those altcoins that we're known, to gather such momentum that Bitcoin has had in 10 years. So this is the quote from Chad here. He says that we are on the cusp of mass institutional adoption in crypto. I can tell you, when it comes to Cardano, Polkadot, and Ethereum, the institutional money is not going to wait 10 years this time. Bitcoin has given us the proof of concept that built trust in the market and forged a path for innovative altcoins to scale much faster. So really, really interesting stuff, Chris.
Yeah, it really is. I think, we're invested in well, all of the projects that they're talking about, really. So yeah, buzzing.
Absolutely. Right. So that's what Chad's thinking. Chad is thinking $700 within 3 years for the Polkadot. But what does our charts tell us right now? So let's jump on over, Chris, to the charts for Polkadot and the DOT token and see what's going on, right? So here we are, DOT to the USDT on the daily chart. We obviously have a Fibonacci retracement here from the low level of the 27th of December all the way to that high level of the 20th of February. So quite a recent high there, and we've had a bit of a retracement. Now, within this particular chart, Chris, we can see several things. We have a 50 moving average, 100 moving average, and a 200 moving average, of which you can barely see that 200-day moving average there. It's barely there, but nonetheless, you can see these other two. Now, what we can do is we can see that we're well above these on the daily chart, and that's fine. And we'll get into the smaller grade charts in a while and see what's going on there. We can see that we topped out over here at about $42.44, something like that. And we actually retraced quite nicely. We went just a little bit below that 618 area, that key area there. We then had another retest on it a few days later, and we bounced right off of there. And then we got above that 702 area, and we've been above that 702 area ever since. We also back tested on the 702 most recently on the 5th of March, Chris, and we bounced right off of there. And most recently, we're actually getting into that 786 area once again. So this 786 area is an absolutely key area, and what we need to do is we need to see this thing get closed up here nicely. And we also had the close over here a couple of times, but there was lots of selling pressure still happening. So we haven't quite geared up ready to be up in this particular area. And what I mean by that is the RSI just is too high, or at least it was high at that particular point in time. That means there isn't a lot of space to the upside, and where can the price really go when it's already overbought? Not very far. So we do have to kind of have a bit of a correction. It's good to see that we have good strong support here at the 702, and ultimately we're correcting that RSI nicely. Now we want to see this thing drop down a little bit lower. Ideally we want to get into that 40 area just down here, and we can do that by several different things. We need that volume to stay nice and low. We need to trade sideways for a little bit longer. In doing so, that will get that RSI nicely corrected here. That will allow us a massive amount of space to the upside when that time comes. That allows us the price to just move that ever so effortlessly to the upside, Chris. And the volumes at the moment are nice and low, so we can tick that box on this daily chart, but the RSI has a little bit more work to do. So we've probably got a few days of sideways trading just to go on, Chris, until things start to correct themselves nicely. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a couple of trend lines, because I can see straight away that we've got this interesting line forming here. Okay, so we can see this one here, and I'm going to draw another one where we can see there's definitely an upward trend here as well. Okay, and this is quite a steep one, but we can definitely see that we've got a bit of a triangular wedge, and this is just forming on the daily chart here. So straight away we can probably say we have a couple of days. Now what I'm going to do, Chris, is I'm going to just go get the date range, and I'm going to just say, okay, within the next, looks like 4 days maximum, we should know definitively which trend is going to win. We're either going to be moving to the upside within 4 days, or we're going to be breaking this upward trend and moving to the downside, okay? So within 4 days, we're definitively going to know. So that's a good sign. We have some answers there. We know the time frame that we're looking at. The second thing that we're going to do here is we're going to say, okay, we've got 4 days to correct that RSI. If that RSI does not drop down to below 50 within that 4-day period, there's a stronger chance that we're most likely going to drop to the downside. So we have to watch that a little bit and see how that plays out. The volumes are also nice and low, so we can trade sideways for the 4 days whilst we correct the RSI. But let's pull this into that 4-hourly view and just see if that is also confirmed in these lower levels. So again, we have that trend lines, and we can see that quite clearly. We can also see the volume is nice and low here, and there's nothing too impressive about that at all. We can also see, Chris, that we're actually below both the 50 and the 100 moving average. But the 200 is something that we are still above, and this is an area that we normally would be bouncing off from. So if that time comes where we do actually breach past our upward trend, we still have a bit of a safety net with that 200 moving average. So we have to watch that and see what happens there as well. On the RSI front, we are actually at 49 on this 4-hourly chart. So we're actually in a pretty good place for the RSI. The volume's nice and low. So actually, when we start reviewing it at the 4-hourly view, things are actually looking very positive. I think there's a potentially more of a chance now to break the downward trend and actually start to see some price discovery, which will be interesting. But let's pull this into that 4-hourly view, Chris, and see what's going on there. And again, we can see a little bit more of that detail. This time, however, we're actually below that 200 moving average on the hourly chart. That's slightly more problematic, but we're not miles below it, right? We're just below it. We're basically using it as a bit of a resistance line, but also, we have a bit of a cross with the 100 and the 50 and the 200 moving average. They're all kind of converging together. We're having crisscrossing scenarios here, so lots going on with those moving averages. We can obviously see that 4-day period and that kind of timeline that we have to break out. We can see that the volumes are still incredibly low, so lots of potential there. We obviously know that the RSI is at about 51, so there's potential to the upside, but it's not massive. What we want to do is get that corrected. Now we can correct that with minimal amount of disruption if we can just continue to trade sideways and potentially just bounce off some of those low points. If do so, we can get this down to 40. I'll be very confident in a good positive upswing. So on the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart, things are not too bad. Let's pull this back to that daily view and just do a quick summary. So ultimately we have 4 days to decide which way this is going to go, up or down. Something is going to win. There's an upward trend and a downward trend. One of those is going to be the winner in this particular contest. The volumes are nice and low. They're nice and low on the daily chart, Chris. They're nice and low on the 4-hour and the 1-hour views. So that's all very good. The RSI on the daily is a little bit on the high side. That being said, it's not a bad position. We can move from here, but it could be better. We'd like to see it approach that 50 level and preferably hit there and bounce from it would be nice. The 4-hourly view, The RSI is already in that 50 position, could do with a slight improvement towards 40, and we do have a few days to do that, so not too much of a problem there. The 1 hour view is showing us quite decent volume levels, very low, very, very good place to be right now. The RSI is slightly higher than we would like it to do, but again, we have that little bit of time now just to correct that to get it into a better position. I think, Chris, the upward trend is going to succeed here, and I think we're going to have a bit of a breakout situation within the next 4 days for the DOT token. It would not surprise, I wouldn't be too surprised, Chris, if we go ahead and try to go after that $42 area, and there's a little bit of resistance up here about 38 or so, but nothing too major, and I think we could potentially go after that $42 area there, not a problem. Now, as we talk about what's going on currently with the Polkadot scenario, it's also good to talk about those DOT price predictions, right? So our first price target for Polkadot comes in here at $65.67. Okay, that's just what the Fibonacci extension level, the 1.618 area, is telling us. So that's the immediate price target that we're trying to address here. So ultimately, that's definitely on the cards and something that we can see within our vision here that we're going after. And by no stretch of the imagination is that impossible. That's something that should happen relatively quickly under the right circumstances. I don't think we're going to have it in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. It might take a week or so to get up there. It may even take a brief correction, Chris, just to correct back to the downside. But we'll know that once we get past that $42.44 area. Things will become very clear once we're up here. Once we get across to that $65 area, Chris, we're going after $103. That's the second price target that we have for Polkadot. Now, once we get there, we're looking at $140 as the third target and then $164 for the fourth target. Now, obviously, we can reassess the Fibonacci extensions and the chart itself as things progress through here. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying that $164 is the upper limit to the Polkadot price predictions. That simply isn't the case. But at the moment, that is what the data is suggesting to us. Once things start to move nicely and the bull cycle starts to heat up a little bit more, Chris, we'll be able to replace the Fibonacci, and that will show us, again, some fresh new targets to go after. But for now, guys, we should be hyper-focused on breaching this downward trend. We've got 4 days to correct that RSI. We want to be going after that $42.44 and making sure we get past that. Once we get there, we're looking at $65.67, and I think that's going to be something that we can all celebrate. So, Chris, is there anything else that you would like to add at this point?
Just I think this project's going to do really, really well. I think it's right up there and bullish on it. Hence, we're invested, right?
Absolutely. So, guys, if you have found this video useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing. It's free and you're going to be kept up to date with all the various videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. So with all this said and done, we hope everyone has a fantastic day and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Take care.